You see the whole bench clear for the offense. Or even the Jets game last year when he got Bulaga had a dirty hit on Leonard Williams and Rodgers on both of them, and everyone surrounded Rodgers defending him.
Yeah. And here's
if he was a bad teammate, none of that would happen.
But here's also my issue that goes all the way back to guys like Colin Cowherd, and they want to compare Rodgers and compare this guy and compare that guy. So you're telling me that every Army general that's ever won a battle or a war or led a successful campaign all does it the exact same way? They all say the same thing. They all move the same way. Well, that's my point. So
yeah, so I completely agree.
You can be a really good leader, but maybe the really good leader you are rubs Greg Jennings and Jermichael Finley the wrong way, but gets through to the other. Let's take those two and say 10 other guys. Well, there's 65 guys in the building on your team with the practice squad guys. So if you got 10 to 12 guys, that's a dozen. That's a minority. So aren't we taught that we should always listen?
Way to run with the practice squad too. Even when he was still a starting QB, he would go down and run through practice squad to keep those guys updated.
Right. That's just my point, though. So maybe there was only two guys that didn't like Favre, but there were still two guys that didn't like Favre, but those two guys just didn't come out and say it. I guess it's just a lazy way. And I feel bad for Packers fans because I like to watch national shows because, they're entertaining and as a football fan, it keeps you from just having the green and gold goggles on. But it's hard to do it anymore because they're just so lazy.
The thing is, one of my favorite shows is Good Morning Monday Football with Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, and Mr. Kyle Brandt. I love all that show. I love the personalities. And there's one guy that always keeps it real on the show. It's Nate Burleson. He stood up for Rodgers. He said, I never played with him, but I've met him off the field, and he never seems like the type of person that would come out and completely push off players if they wouldn't seem to learn the book. If he would completely push off players, then why would he teach Jermichael Finley the playbook to get him up to speed?
Exactly.
That's why I like shows like that. I can't stand Colin Cowherd. I can't stand Skip Bayless because it's just the same old story.
It's the same lazy narrative that when they turn around and talk about any other quarterback that they happen to like, they immediately contradict and become hypocrites. And that's what's starting to drive me nuts. And so I can't, and thank God for my wife and I living in the UP and only having a short period of time because we turned the TV off 2 weeks ago. And so I am on like a national and kind of a football detox other than Twitter. So it's been kind of good for my inner soul because I was just getting angry.
I have been too. I usually do it between free agency and the draft.
Yeah, and so
it gives me a lot more time to dive in the tape.
Right, I've just been getting angry to the point where I really haven't. I mean, I took 2 weeks off of the podcast lately. I mean, some things have gone wrong with my computer and this and that, but I mean, I could have probably fixed them faster. But it was just like I need to reschedule. I just need to re-energize. And then the Rodgers thing came out on Monday, and it was just like
it's just there's no way you couldn't run a show about it.
It's time, like it was like back in the day when you were young and the Rocky movies would come on. I don't know, and you just get all pumped up and you want to go outside and start working out, and like it just gets the fire going in you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when I was reading the article, like I've always had this thing. I mean, I like wrestling. I know it's fake, but the thing is, one of my favorite entrances is Brock Lesnar. So like when I hear his music hit the screen on wrestling, oh my God, like that's the feeling I got when I heard Rodgers go on the radio show and completely went off on Tyler Dunn, on Finley, on Jennings.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like I got that feeling of just like the hair stood up on the back of my neck. And I really believe, even though how pissed off green and gold fans are, I think those three just elevated Rodgers' play and they don't even know it yet.
Well, here's the thing too. I don't think people are realizing that normally when you have a rookie head coach in a new offense like this, you're not getting a quarterback that, oh, by the way, people, we didn't even cover this, Dave. I'll let you even break this. We heard the big time. Aaron Rodgers didn't just have a ripped MCL. He also had what, Dave? What was wrong with his leg?
He had a tibial fracture right basically on the verge of his kneecap.
Which is very debilitating, they said, for most human beings just to walk around on. And
J.J. Watt had a IR injury for that. It was a little more severe. I'll give him that. A little bit bigger of a fracture. But the thing is, for the fact that Rodgers to come out and not only come back, not in the same game, but to drop 20 points against his division rival who just hurt him is amazing. Like, to me, and then play through the whole season, and then a sprained MCL on top of that. It's just, it shows his toughness. And when people question his toughness, it even bothers me then because he played through two pulled calf muscles in 2014.
And he did get injured in the 2016 NFC Championship run. That
Yes,
leg had bothered him again. And also, he only had Corey Linsley was the only starting lineman left. 4 of the 5 linemen in that NFC Championship game were unrestricted free agent rookies. People, they don't understand Can we please stop? When has Tom Brady ever stood behind a line like that and won any games?
Oh, never. He's always had a top 10 O-line. Always.
Okay, I'm just saying here, like, this has gotten the fire in me, man. I was kind of getting beat down, over all this, and this
one of the biggest things I took from the article. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry about
that. Go ahead. No, you're fine.
I gotta bring something up. I really think one of the biggest things is how people tried to divide him and Mike. Rodgers went out of his way to go ahead and say Mike is the still second winningest head coach in Packers football history. He lives in Green Bay. His kids live here. He loves it here. He loves his town. If you see him, shake his hand. He deserves that respect. The fact he went on his way to say that just shows that whole article is blasphemy.
And also here, another thing about that, Dave, I felt like his tone of his voice was almost like a parent getting on the fans and the residents of Green Bay, that he felt that.
Yeah, because they were getting on McCarthy.
Right.
I don't know why. McCarthy gave nothing but success when he was here.
There is one thing that I did notice, though, again, where you have to sometimes read between the lines of what Rodgers didn't say. And he never did say that he was a highly intelligent, masterminded offense and play calling, and that he enjoyed playing in his offense.
Player. If he thinks he's smarter than you, he might disrespect a little bit. But the thing is, he still showed the respect to McCarthy that he deserves on the show.
And he told
he might be saving face. But the thing is, if he really had that bad of a relationship with him, he wouldn't even have mentioned it.
That I feel the same way. 100% agree there. Yes, definitely there. All right, we got about 7 minutes left. We're going to transition just because I know you are into the mock draft big time. We're into the draft.
Yeah.
And I know you've had a little tidbit that I'm sure you're just egging to get out of your system. So why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about what you got going on with the draft and your mocks lately? You can go ahead you got about 6.5 minutes.
So what I've been seeing lately in a lot of the mock drafts and what teams are jumping around, I really do think the Packers at 12 have a legitimate shot to grab an inside linebacker or defensive lineman. I think teams are kind of holding back on saying, oh, yeah, they're going to go get quarterbacks or wait for them to drop. I really think that teams in the NFL are going to make a piranha pool in like the top 20 picks for quarterbacks. You're going to see teams jump up in the top 10. I'd say 2 teams are probably going to jump up out of the top 20 into the top 10 to get quarterbacks pushing all that talent down. And I think the Packers can land Ed Oliver, which can obviously make a top defensive line in the NFL. Devin Bush, Devin White, you have all this talent along there. And if he drops, by God willing, Quinnen Williams. But that's just a pipe dream.
What about my favorite guy in the world, Brian Burns?
Oh, I think that's the thing. I think Burns is going in the top 10. I love his talent, but what he did at the draft is just solidified that he's a top 10 draft pick.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He's really not top 10. If you think 2 or 3 quarterbacks go in the top 10, there's too many other guys ahead of him. Because as much as these mocks want to talk about, well, this is what I'm hearing from GMs, they forget that they also tell us that all the GMs are liars right now. So when I do mock drafts, Dave,
I think someone's going to take Kyler at 1. Cardinals might trade down at the last second and surprise us all, or because Gruden has the picks to be able to move up to 1 because he's expressed his love for Kyler Murray.
I guess with me though, with the inside linebackers, I just don't think they're I think they're getting phased out of the game. Even guys like Devin Bush and White, you just saw the Ravens let go of a similar player in Mosley and not want to pay him. I guess that's what I look at. Like, this defense is, I think it would be better served with a guy like Quinnen Williams or Brian Burns or what's the other Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver.
Right. I think and other, if you're not going to get those guys, I don't think the tight ends are good enough to go. I don't think the receivers, any of the receivers, tight ends
are being overhyped a lot.
Right. I don't think the receivers are good enough to go that high. But I think at that point, if you're not going to go edge rusher or one of those defensive linemen, if they drop, that would be there. I think you got to go offensive line at 12, or at least trade back and then try to get one of those guys there.
So there is guys like Jawan Taylor that's there, but I don't know if he's going to drop because his tape has been, in his pro days, have been building him up the board a lot. But my favorite offensive lineman is later down the board, Dalton Risner. I think he's going to maybe go somewhere between 30 and 44, and we have a shot at him.
I would definitely love him at 30.
But, I would too.
I think he's an absolute steal. Because I think he's
at 12. There's a surprise pick I had. If all the linebackers are gone, all the edge guys are gone, all the defensive linemen are gone, and the guys basically that already taken, the quarterbacks don't get taken. There's one guy that if he falls, I think would solidify the secondary and kind of add a lot more top talent in the shutdown area. I think Greedy Williams, if he's there, should take him.
Oh, look, here's the thing about Pettin's defense. Like, he likes the rush off the defensive line, and I think that's why I like Oliver or Burns at 12, because Burns gives you the versatility with the two. I
agree. I love both.
Right. Burns gives you the versatility to take Zadarius Smith and play him in that elephant position and really not ever drop him.
A lot of Eldon Smith from 49ers when he was coming off in his rookie season.
The Smith, yeah, it would be the Smith game right there.
Oh, no. Burns, he reminds me of Eldon Smith.
Oh, yeah, but without the psycho personality.
Without the psycho personality and yelling bomb in the middle of an airport. Yeah.
Right. But I guess God, I lost my.
Pettin blitzes a lot of corners off the edge. And
that's where I was going. Is I think even though you like King and I love Jair Alexander, I think Josh Jackson, people are down on him too early for a position.
I love Jackson.
Right.
I think he still needs a little more time.
I think Jackson is a pure outside corner though. I think if you play him on purely outside, I think he'll be a verge almost Pro Bowl guy every year. You know, like
I also had another spot for him too, not inside or outside, but kind of like just a zone cornerback in a man-to-man system. Because you went and watched his Iowa tape, a lot of routes he sat and waited for the quarterback, and he'd sit there and run with a linebacker or something, and in the attack a zone, the quarterback would go after. And I think he could thrive if they try it. I'm not saying they should, but if they ever get a chance, I think a zone quarterback area where they could float him through the whole defense.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing with him is that this defense just doesn't play a lot of zone. Pettin is a lot of, if you go back to his even Jets days, it's a lot of your outside guys are on an island and those those slot corners are blitzing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I know he plays a lot of man-to-man.
Right.
Jackson, I'm not saying that to use him as a zone, but kind of like a floater. Kind of put him where the quarterback's throwing heavy, and I think he could make a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we got about 50 seconds left. You got any other surprises or anything else you?
Yes, I do. I got one more. I think the Packers make a trade up before they make their 30th pick. They make 44 and 75, trade it up and get to about 25 to 28 area, take a third first-round pick, and get 3 first-round talents in the draft.
And who do you think they would probably take at that pick then?
If you saw tight ends drop like a Noah Fant or heck, even say a top offensive lineman starts dropping, take him.
Take him. All right, guys, that's what we got for this show this week. We will get back at you again sometime next week. Thanks for tuning in, and Stay safe out there, Packer Nation.